The silver ship floated silently in space, far from the small blue planet that spun below. Inside the ship, alien scientist Tay worked at his glowing computer screen. His 4 eyes moved quickly as he read the data coming from their scanning machines. This was his job, to study new planets and decide if they were safe for his people to visit. Tay's long fingers typed on the strange keyboard as he looked at the numbers. The planet below was called Sol 3 by their maps, but the creatures living there called it Earth. He had been watching this world for many days now, and what he saw made him worried. "Commander Bin," Tay called to his leader. "You need to see this." Commander Bin walked over to Tay's workstation. She was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to glow under the ship's lights. Her people came from a peaceful world where the weather never changed and dangerous animals did not exist. "What did you find?" Bin asked, looking at the screen full of numbers and charts. "This planet is very dangerous," Tay said, shaking his head. "The weather changes all the time. Sometimes it is so hot that metal would melt. Sometimes it is so cold that the air itself freezes. And look at these storms." On the screen they could see huge storms spinning across Earth's oceans. The storms were bigger than entire countries on their home world. Lightning flashed inside the storm clouds with enough power to destroy their ship. "That is not all," Tay continued, bringing up more data. "The ground shakes and breaks apart. Mountains explode with melted rock. The air has poison gas that would kill most of our people in minutes." Bin frowned as she looked at the information. "What about the animals?" Tay pressed another button and pictures filled the screen. There were huge creatures with sharp teeth living in the oceans. On land there were animals with claws as long as their arms. Some animals were tiny but full of deadly poison. Others were so big they could step on their ship and crush it. "The ocean creatures are the worst," Tay said, pointing to a picture of a great white shark. "Look at those teeth. And this one," he showed her a picture of a jellyfish. "This small thing can kill with just a touch." "What about the smart creatures? The ones who built those cities?" Tay pulled up information about humans. The data showed that humans lived all over the planet, even in the most dangerous places. They lived where it was burning hot and where it was freezing cold. They lived on high mountains where there was almost no air to breathe. They even lived in places where the ground was poison. "These creatures are very strange," Tay said. "They are not very strong compared to the animals on their world. They have no fur to keep warm, no thick skin to protect them, no claws to fight with. But somehow they live everywhere on this death world." "Maybe they are hiding underground?" Bin suggested. "No, Commander. They live on the surface. They even go into the poison water for fun. Look at this." Tay showed her videos of humans swimming in oceans full of dangerous creatures, climbing mountains in terrible storms, and running across hot deserts. Bin watched in shock. "They do this for fun? Not because they have to." "Yes. They seem to enjoy the danger. They even have games where they try to survive in the worst places on their planet." The two aliens stared at the screen as they watched humans doing impossible things. They saw people jumping from high places with only a piece of cloth to slow them down. They saw others going deep underwater where the pressure should crush them. Some humans were running for hours in heat that would cook their alien bodies. "This makes no sense," Bin said. "How can such weak creatures survive on such a terrible world?" "I have been studying them for days," Tay replied. "I think they are too primitive to understand how dangerous their world is. They just keep trying to live, even though their planet tries to kill them every day." Tay typed more commands and brought up pictures of human cities. The cities looked small and simple compared to the great crystal towers of the alien homeworld. The humans used basic technology and seemed to fight constantly among themselves. "Look at their tools," Tay said. "Very simple. Their buildings are weak. They cannot even talk to each other across their planet without using machines. They are clearly not advanced enough to be dangerous to anyone but themselves." Commander Bin nodded slowly. "So they are trapped on their death world, too primitive to escape, slowly dying from their terrible environment." "Exactly," Tay agreed. "This planet should be marked as Class XII Death World. No civilized species should ever go there. It is too dangerous and there is nothing valuable to find. The creatures there will probably be extinct soon anyway." Bin walked back to her command chair and spoke to the ship's computer. "Mark Sol 3 as quarantine zone. Warning level maximum. Reason: death world conditions incompatible with civilized life." The computer responded with a pleasant tone. "Classification complete. Sol 3 marked as unsuitable for contact or colonization." "Good," Bin said. "Set course for our next survey target. Let us find a planet that is actually worth our time." As their ship turned away from Earth and prepared to jump to another star system, Neither Tay nor Bin looked back at the small blue planet. They had no idea that the primitive creatures below had been watching their ship with interest. They did not know that humans had been listening to alien radio signals for years, learning their languages and studying their technology. The aliens thought Earth was a death world where only weak, primitive creatures struggled to survive. They never imagined that this harsh world had created something much stronger and smarter than they could ever guess. They flew away thinking they had found another useless, dangerous planet. They were completely wrong. 3 years had passed since the aliens first visited Earth and marked it as a death world. Now, far from their home planet, the alien research ship Peaceful Journey was in serious trouble. Captain Lee sat in his command chair watching sparks fly from broken machines all around the bridge. The ship shook and groaned as its engines failed one by one. Red warning lights flashed everywhere and loud alarms made it hard to think. "How bad is it?" Captain Lee asked his chief engineer. Engineer Park wiped sweat from her forehead as she worked on a smoking control panel. "Very bad, Captain. The main engine is dead. The backup engines are failing. We have maybe 2 hours of power left." "What about the emergency beacon?" "Already sent, but we are too far from any Federation world. No one will reach us in time." Captain Lee looked at the star map on his screen. His heart sank when he saw where they were. "We are in the Sol system," he said quietly. The bridge crew became very quiet. Everyone knew about Sol 3, the death world that was marked as too dangerous to visit. Being trapped near that planet was like being trapped in a black hole. Nothing could save them here. "Sir," Communications Officer Yoon called out, her voice shaking. "I am getting a response to our distress call." "That is impossible," Captain Lee replied. "There are no Federation ships in this area. The signal is coming from Sol 3, Captain. From the death world itself." Everyone stared at Yoon in shock. How could anything on that terrible planet respond to their call for help? "Put it on speakers," Captain Lee ordered. A clear, strong voice filled the bridge. The voice spoke perfect Galactic Standard, the language used by all Federation ships. "Federation vessel Peaceful Journey, this is Earth Control Center. My name is Min. We see your ship is in trouble. We are sending help right now." Captain Lee could not believe what he was hearing. Earth Control Center? But Sol 3 is supposed to be primitive. The voice continued, "Please stay calm. Our rescue teams will reach you in 15 minutes. Do not try to restart your engines. We will handle everything." Before anyone could ask questions, 3 ships appeared on their radar screen. The ships moved faster than anything in the Federation fleet. They had strange designs that no one had ever seen before. "Impossible," Engineer Park whispered. "Those ships are moving at speeds that should tear them apart." The strange ships slowed down as they approached the Peaceful Journey. Captain Lee watched through his window as the first ship came alongside his vessel. It was smaller than Federation ships but looked much more advanced. The hull was smooth and silver, and it seemed to glow with its own light. "Peaceful Journey, this is Rescue Team Leader June. We are going to attach to your ship now. Please open your docking bay." Captain Lee looked at his crew. They had no choice. Their ship was dying, and these mysterious humans were their only hope. "Open the docking bay," he ordered. Minutes later, the aliens heard footsteps in their corridor. The rescue team was coming aboard. Captain Lee expected to see the primitive creatures that their files described, weak, simple beings barely surviving on their death world. Instead, a tall human man walked onto the bridge carrying a box of strange tools. He wore a suit that looked more advanced than anything the Federation had ever built. Behind him came 2 more humans, a woman and a younger man, both looking calm and confident. "I am June," the first human said with a friendly smile. "Do not worry. We will fix your ship and get you home safely." Captain Lee stared at the human. June was speaking perfect Galactic Standard without any accent. His suit showed no signs of the harsh environment that should exist on Sol 3. Most surprising of all, the human looked completely comfortable, as if rescuing alien ships was something he did every day. "How do you speak our language?" Captain Lee asked. "We have been listening to your radio signals for many years," June replied simply. "We learned your languages because we hoped to meet you someday." The female human, who introduced herself as Sue, was already working on the broken engine controls. She opened her toolbox and pulled out devices that the aliens had never seen before. Within minutes, she had the backup power working again. "Your ship design is interesting," Sue said as she worked. "But you are using very old technology. These energy converters are at least 50 years behind what they could be." Engineer Park watched in amazement as Sue repaired systems that should have taken days to fix. "How are you doing that so fast?" "Practice," Sue said with a smile. We have studied Federation technology for a long time. We made improvements where we could. The third human, a young man named Kim, was scanning the ship with a device that looked like nothing in any Federation database. Your life support systems are failing too, he said. The air recyclers are broken, and you have a leak in Section 4. We know about the leak, Captain Lee said. But we cannot fix it. That section is too dangerous to enter. No problem, Kim replied. I will fix it now. Before anyone could stop him, Kim walked toward Section 4. The aliens followed, expecting to see him put on a protective suit or use special equipment. Instead, Kim simply walked into the area where poisonous gas was leaking and began working with his bare hands. Stop! Engineer Park shouted. You will die in there. Kim looked back with a confused expression. Die? From this? This is just a small gas leak. It is not dangerous. The aliens watched in shock as Kim worked in conditions that would kill any Federation species in seconds. The humans seemed completely unaffected by the toxic gas that their sensors said was deadly. Within an hour, the humans had completely repaired the peaceful journey. Systems that had been broken were now working better than when the ship was new. The engines were running smoothly and all the warning lights had stopped flashing. There you go, June said cheerfully. Your ship is ready for the journey home. We also upgraded your navigation system and improved your fuel efficiency. As the humans prepared to leave, Captain Lee found his voice. Wait, how is this possible? Our files say your planet is a death world. You should not have this technology. June paused at the doorway and smiled. Your files are not complete, Captain. Earth may be dangerous, but that danger made us strong. We learned to build things that last and to help each other survive. The humans returned to their ships and disappeared as quickly as they had arrived, leaving the alien crew staring at each other in complete confusion. Everything they thought they knew about Sol 3 and its inhabitants was wrong. Very wrong. Captain Lee and his crew decided to stay on Earth for a few days to rest after their ship was repaired. The humans had invited them to visit their planet, and the aliens were curious about this world their Federation had marked as too dangerous to visit. Dr. Bo, the ship's medical officer, could not believe what he was seeing through his protective suit. He stood in what the humans called Sol, watching millions of people walk around in the open air. The air that his instruments said would kill him in less than 5 minutes. This cannot be real, Dr. Bo said to his assistant. Look at the readings. The air contains nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide in levels that are toxic to us. Yet these humans breathe it like it is nothing. A human child ran past them, laughing and playing in the deadly atmosphere. The child was not wearing any protection at all. Behind the child came a woman who the humans introduced as Dr. Ray. She was a scientist who worked with alien biology. Dr. Bo, Ray said with a warm smile. Would you like to see our research center? We have been studying your people's biology since we repaired your ship. Dr. Bo nodded nervously. He followed Dr. Ray into a building that looked simple on the outside but was filled with technology he had never seen before. The walls showed screens with data about his own body, information that should have been impossible for humans to gather. How did you scan us? Dr. Bo asked. We never gave you permission to study our biology. Oh, we did not need to scan you directly, Ray replied. We analyzed the air in your ship, the materials you use, even the way your technology works. From that, we could figure out what kind of environment you need and how your bodies function. Dr. Bo stared at the detailed biological charts on the wall. The humans had learned more about his species in 3 days than his own people had learned in years of study. This level of analysis should take months with our best computers, Dr. Bo said. It did take us a while, Ray admitted. Almost 6 hours. Meanwhile, Engineer Park was having her own shocking experience. A human engineer named Dan was showing her around what they called a simple repair shop. But the equipment in this shop was more advanced than anything on the most modern Federation worlds. This is just a basic workshop, Dan explained as he picked up a tool that looked like it was made from solid light. We use it to fix everyday things like cars and kitchen machines. Park watched as Dan used the tool to reshape metal with his bare hands. The metal flowed like water, forming into perfect shapes without any heat or force. That tool, Park whispered. It uses quantum field manipulation. That technology is theoretical in the Federation. Our best scientists say it is impossible to build. Dan looked confused. Really? This is old technology for us. My grandfather built tools like this 50 years ago. Would you like to see our modern equipment? Before Park could answer, Dan led her to another room. Here, humans were working on machines that seemed to bend space and time. Park's instruments went crazy trying to understand what she was seeing. In another part of the city, Communications Officer Yoon was discovering something even more shocking. A human teenager named Sol was showing her their communication center. "We have been listening to Federation radio signals for over 60 years, Sol explained casually. "We learned all your languages and studied your cultures. It was quite interesting." Yoon looked at the walls covered with monitors showing communications from across the galaxy. The humans were intercepting and translating messages from dozens of different worlds in real time. "This is impossible," Yoon said. "Some of these signals are encrypted with our most advanced codes. It should take our best computers years to break them." Sol laughed. "Those codes? We broke them in the first week. They were fun puzzles but not very difficult." "But how?" "Our encryption is based on mathematics that most species cannot understand." "Mathematics is universal," Sol replied. 2 + 2 = 4 everywhere in the universe. Once we understood your basic number systems, the rest was easy." Back at the medical center, Dr. Bo was watching a group of humans do something that made his blood freeze with terror. They were drinking liquid that his scanner said was pure acid. "Stop!" Dr. Bo shouted. "That liquid will dissolve your internal organs." The humans looked at him with confusion. One of them, a woman named Yu, held up her glass. "This? It is just orange juice. Would you like to try some?" "Orange juice." Dr. Bo checked his scanners again. "My instruments say that liquid contains citric acid, ascorbic acid, and other compounds that are highly toxic." "Well, yes," Yu replied. "Oranges are acidic fruits. But these acids are good for our health. They help prevent diseases and give us energy." Dr. Bo watched in horror as Yu drank the entire glass of what his people would consider poison. Not only did she survive, but she seemed to enjoy it. Later that day, all the alien crew members met to share what they had learned. Each one had a story more impossible than the last. "They swim in water that would dissolve our ship's hull," Dr. Bo reported. "They use technology that our scientists say cannot exist," Engineer Park added. "They have been monitoring our entire civilization for decades," Yoon concluded. Captain Lee sat quietly, thinking about everything his crew had discovered. Finally he spoke. "We made a terrible mistake," he said slowly. "We thought this was a death world with primitive creatures. But the truth is the opposite. Earth is not a death world for humans. Earth made them into something we never imagined possible." "What do you mean, Captain?" Dr. Bo asked. "Think about it," Lee replied. "Every day of their lives, these humans face conditions that would kill us instantly. Every breath they take, every step they walk, every meal they eat, it all happens in an environment that is deadly to most life in the galaxy. But they do not just survive. They thrive." "So what does that make them?" Park wondered. Captain Lee looked out the window at humans walking casually through their impossible world, breathing poison air, drinking acid, and using technology that bent the laws of physics. "It makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy," he said quietly. "And we never even noticed." When Captain Lee and his crew returned to their home world, they brought shocking news that spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the great meeting halls of the Galactic Federation, leaders from hundreds of worlds gathered to hear the impossible reports from Sol 3. Senator Vex stood at the center of the massive chamber, his green skin turning darker as he spoke with fear. "These creatures have been watching us for over 60 years, he announced to the assembly. "They know our languages, our technology, our weaknesses. They have been studying us while we thought they were primitive animals." The chamber erupted in worried voices. Representatives from dozens of species talked loudly to each other, their fear growing with each word. Council Leader Nix raised her 4 arms to quiet the crowd. "Captain Lee, tell us again what you saw on Sol 3. Captain Lee stood up slowly, still shocked by his memories of Earth. "The humans live in conditions that would kill any of us in minutes. They breathe poison air, drink acid, and swim in water that would dissolve our ships. But they are not suffering, they are thriving." "What about their technology?" asked General Rock, the Federation's top military commander. "Far beyond ours," Lee replied. "They repaired our ship with tools that should not exist. They broke our strongest encryption codes in days. They have been listening to every communication we have sent across the galaxy." The crowd gasped. If humans could break Federation codes, then no secret was safe. No military plan could be hidden. No world could prepare defenses without the humans knowing about it. Admiral Zul, a veteran warrior from the Outer Rim, stood up with his weapons clanking. "This is clearly a threat that must be stopped," he declared. "These humans have been preparing to invade our worlds. They have studied our weaknesses and built weapons to defeat us." "But they helped Captain Lee's crew," someone called out from the back. "Of course they did. Admiral Zull replied angrily. It was part of their plan. They wanted to see our technology up close, to learn our ship designs, to study our biology. It was all a trap. More voices joined in agreement. The logic seemed clear to the frightened leaders. Why else would humans hide their true abilities? Why else would they pretend to be primitive while secretly building advanced technology? General Rock activated a holographic display showing the Sol system. If these humans can survive on a death world, imagine what they could do on normal planets. They would be unstoppable. We must act before they develop space travel, Admiral Zull said. Once they leave their world, they will conquer everything in their path. The debate continued for hours, but the conclusion was always the same. The humans were too dangerous to ignore. Action had to be taken quickly. Meanwhile, in a hidden facility deep beneath the mountains of Korea, human monitoring stations were intercepting every word of the Federation's panicked discussions. Dr. Kim sat at his computer, translating the alien languages in real time as the galaxy's leaders planned humanity's destruction. They are calling us a threat, Dr. Kim reported to the Emergency Council. They think we have been preparing to invade their worlds. Defense Minister Han leaned forward in her chair, studying the translated conversations. This makes no sense. We have never shown any aggressive behavior. We helped their ship when it was in trouble. They think that was part of our plan, Dr. Kim explained. They believe we saved them only to study their weaknesses. President Nam shook her head sadly. How did they reach this conclusion? We have been trying to make peaceful contact for decades. Fear, replied Intelligence Director 1. They are afraid because they cannot understand how we survived on Earth. To them, our world is impossible. They think we must be monsters to live here. The translation systems continued to process the alien communications. The news grew worse with each passing hour. Battle fleets were being assembled. Weapons were being prepared. The greatest military force in galactic history was gathering to attack Earth. How long do we have? Asked General Cho, Earth's top military leader. According to their communications, 6 months, one replied. They are mobilizing ships from across the galaxy. This will be the largest invasion force ever assembled. President Nam stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the peaceful city below. Children were playing in parks. Families were having dinner together. Nobody knew that in 6 months, their world would be under attack by aliens who saw them as monsters. We wanted to join the galactic community, Nam said quietly. We dreamed of sharing knowledge, of learning from other cultures, of exploring the stars together. And now they are coming to destroy us, General Cho replied grimly. Then we defend ourselves, Nam decided. Alert all military units. Begin evacuation procedures for major cities. Activate the defense satellites. Across Earth, hidden military installations came to life. Weapons that had been built in secret for decades were brought online. Ships that could travel faster than light began launching from underground bases. Humans who had spent their lives hoping for peaceful contact with aliens now prepared for the war that was coming to their world. In space stations orbiting Earth, human scientists worked day and night to improve their defenses. They studied the Federation's technology, looking for weaknesses. They prepared countermeasures for every type of alien weapon they had observed. The greatest tragedy was that both sides were preparing for a war that nobody wanted. The Federation attacked because they were afraid of human power. Humans prepared to fight because they had no choice but to defend their world. Fear and misunderstanding were about to start the first galactic war in 1,000 years. And neither side understood that the other was just trying to survive. 6 months later, the largest military force in galactic history emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 3,000 ships from across the galaxy formed perfect battle lines, their weapons charged and ready to destroy the human threat once and for all. General Rock stood on the bridge of the massive flagship Final Justice, watching the small blue planet that had caused so much fear across the galaxy. His 4 hearts beat rapidly as he prepared to give the order that would end the human menace forever. All ships report ready, General, his communications officer announced. Excellent, Rock replied. Begin scanning for defensive installations. I want to know every weapon they have before we attack. The scanning officer worked at his station for several minutes, then looked up with confusion. General, I am not detecting any defenses. No weapon platforms, no shield generators, no military satellites. The planet appears completely undefended. Rock frowned. This had to be a trick. Scan again. The humans must be hiding their defenses. I have scanned 3 times, sir. There are no military installations visible anywhere in the system. Maybe they are hiding on the planet's surface, suggested Admiral Zull from his own ship. Those Death World creatures could have underground bases. Then we will force them to show themselves, Rock decided. All ships, advance to attack formation. Prepare orbital bombardment sequence. The massive fleet began moving toward Earth, thousands of weapons aimed at the peaceful blue world. But as they reached the halfway point between Pluto and Mars, something impossible happened. Every single ship in the fleet suddenly stopped working. Engines died. Weapons powered down. Life support systems flickered and went dark. In the space of 3 seconds, the most powerful military force in history became completely helpless. What happened? Rock shouted as emergency lights flickered on around his bridge. All systems offline, General, his engineer reported in panic. Engines, weapons, communications, everything is dead. This is impossible. How can 3,000 ships all fail at the same time? Before anyone could answer, a calm voice spoke through speakers throughout the entire fleet. The voice belonged to a human woman, and she spoke perfect galactic standard. Federation fleet, this is Admiral Jean of the Earth Defense Force. Your ships are now under our protection. Please remain calm while our rescue teams assist you. Rescue teams? Rock sputtered. We came here to destroy you. We know, Admiral Jean replied gently. We have been monitoring your communications for months. We understand that you are afraid of us, and we want to help you understand the truth. Through the viewports of their disabled ships, the alien crews watched as sleek human vessels appeared around the fleet. The human ships had been completely invisible to their sensors, using technology that seemed to bend space itself. Impossible, whispered Admiral Zull as he watched human ships materialize from nothing. How long have they been watching us? The answer came quickly. Human teams began boarding the alien ships, but instead of weapons they carried medical equipment and repair tools. They moved through the disabled vessels with easy confidence, fixing life support systems and providing aid to any crew members who had been injured during the system failures. General Rock found himself face to face with a human engineer named Sue, who was calmly repairing the bridge's main computer. How are you doing this? Rock demanded. Your technology should not be this advanced. Sue looked up from her work and smiled. General, our technology developed differently than yours because we had to survive on Earth. Every machine we build must work in conditions that would destroy your equipment. We learned to make things stronger, smarter, and more reliable. But why did you disable our fleet instead of destroying it? Destroy it? Sue looked shocked by the idea. General, there are over 2 million beings on these ships. Why would we want to hurt anyone? Hours later, General Rock found himself in a comfortable meeting room aboard a human vessel, sitting across from Admiral Jean and President Nam. Both humans looked kind and peaceful, nothing like the monsters he had expected to find. You came here to destroy our world, President Nam said without anger. But instead of fighting you, we disabled your weapons and began repairing your ships. Do you understand why? No, Rock admitted. If we had succeeded, your entire species would have been destroyed. Why did you not kill us when you had the chance? Admiral Jean activated a wall screen that showed images from across Earth. Rock watched humans rescuing animals from floods, doctors treating sick children, teachers helping students learn, and families taking care of their elderly relatives. This is what our Death World taught us, Jean explained. Every hurricane showed us the importance of helping our neighbors. Every earthquake taught us to work together. Every dangerous animal reminded us that life is precious and must be protected. But the report said you were primitive and violent, Rock protested. We do fight, President Nam agreed. But we fight against dangers that threaten the innocent. We fight diseases, natural disasters, and anything that would harm those who cannot protect themselves. The screen showed human rescue teams working in space, helping ships that had suffered accidents. It showed human doctors treating aliens who had been injured far from home. It showed human peacekeepers stopping wars between other species without taking sides. For 60 years we have been secretly helping ships in distress, providing medical aid during disasters and preventing conflicts from spreading, Jean said. We have been protecting the galaxy and most species never knew we existed. Rock stared at the images, his understanding of humans completely changing. You are not conquerors. You are guardians. Earth made us strong not so we could hurt others but so we could protect them, Nam confirmed. Our harsh world taught us that the strongest must defend the weakest. In the months that followed, the truth about humanity spread across the galaxy. Earth became the Federation's greatest protector, with human ships patrolling dangerous regions and human medical teams responding to emergencies on distant worlds. The planet that had been dismissed as a death world became the safest place in known space. Not because it was no longer dangerous, but because its inhabitants had learned that true strength comes from protecting others, not from destroying them. And the galaxy was never the same again.